Now let's start by taking a look at how your students actually use Mangahigh. So basically, once your students have logged in, they can complete lessons that are recommended to them, or they can do lessons that has been assigned to them by yourself. Alternatively, they can also click Browse to browse additional lessons for revision work or extension work. And of course, in the Games tab, there's the whole portfolio of games which they can access. Now let's have a look at the Recommended tab. So the very first time your students log in, they basically will be asked for their date of birth. Then the recommendations will start making an informed decision about what lessons they should be working on next. So the idea is your students will constantly be working on at lessons that are working at their learning levels. So I'll show you another slide. So basically there are over 1,000 lessons on Mangahigh which are all mapped out in a hierarchical structure aligned to the Australian curriculum. So once you've set some lessons to your students, the virtual tutor will start looking at what they're ready to learn and what they're not ready to learn, and then essentially direct them that way. So to get started, or to get the recommendation started, the way it works is students run through a pre-test, which looks at obviously lessons that they have done in the past. So as a teacher, you will need to start assigning 1 or 2 lessons to get them started. After that, they will also look at, or the recommendation will also look at the recommended year level that you've assigned for that student. So you might have some students that are in year 9 and you've assigned the year 9 curriculum to them, or students that are in year 7 but working at a lower level and you've assigned them a year 5 curriculum. So it takes that into consideration and puts together an initial set of recommendations. So basically, students are kind of placed on a learning continuum that's based on the pre-test, and every lesson essentially has its own kind of predecessor, a prerequisite, as well as a post after that. So then after your students complete initial lessons, the ongoing recommendations takes into consideration, of course, their performance on the activities that they've completed. Still looks at the year level that the teachers have assigned as a guidance, and of course the work that you're actually assigning, so the topics that you're currently working on. In addition to that, it also looks at what other kids in the class are working on and how they've actually performed. So that also becomes an input to the next task that your students should be working at. So essentially, all possible recommended tasks are kind of grouped into a boundary set. And this boundary set can actually span across multiple year levels. So you're not kind of locked into just year 7 work or year 8 work, depending on. So it really depends on, purely depends on the prerequisite tasks that your students have completed and their performance. Okay, so I'll go back to the site now. So the way it works is basically students look at obviously the assigned tasks, and then they look at the recommended tasks. So the tasks that you've assigned could either be games, so you can assign games as well. So the benefit of assigning games is you then limit them to a particular year level relevant part of the game. So for example, this game here called A Tangled Web, that covers from about year 5 through to year 10. Now you might then say, right, I'm teaching year 7, so I'm only interested in doing or getting them to do the year 7 version of this game. So you can assign that. Okay. So the games are really great for fluency skills, so doing a lot of questions in a short space of time. Let's have a look at this game called Pinata Fever as a quick example. as you can see, the students got to do a lot of questions in a very short space of time, and the idea is they can, go through the games over and over again, and they get different set of questions every time. So then there's the other type of activities that your students could be working on are called prodigy lessons. Now these get a little bit deeper. These are adaptive quizzes. So again, students in your class will get different questions depending on their own learning abilities. It always starts at the easy level, 10 questions each round. Starts at the easy, and there's allocated times for it. So 60 seconds for easy, 75 seconds for medium, etc., etc. So the idea here is your students go through, answer questions. Depending on if they get questions right or wrong, they move up or down to the previous level. Along the way, if they're struggling, they can use free hints. How many sevenths are there in 5 units? Okay, so at the end, your students see what that medal they achieved. They can go back and review their questions. They can click play again, and the program will remember the level that they finished off and start them back there again. So we generally recommend 3 rounds of Prodigy, and that's what you should be encouraging your students to do. Other things your students can do is click on Browse to browse activities based on the year level, find some activities that they want to work on and click Pin so they can work on it later on. They can also see the progress that the school's making in terms of the competition. They can also click to see their own progress and their ranking within the school, as well as the ranking within their class.